So for the Muslim, truth is um, found and defined by what is written in the Quran. Muslims believe the Quran to not be the inspired word of God, but to be the literal word of God, meaning it is the actual words that God spoke to Angel Jibril and gave to Prophet Muhammad. So the Quran supersedes all um, in Muslim theology as it relates to truth. Um, Even the deeds of Muhammad are superseded by the Quran. So for the Muslim to find truth, to define truth, to ask what is truth, those things are found in the Quran. So dealing with the ideas of right and wrong and how the Muslim defines right and wrong and how does the Muslim know right and wrong. Again, it is based on the Quran, and I would like to take this opportunity to let another Muslim brother explain the idea. All right, let me ask you, from a Sunni perspective, is right and wrong an individual determination, or is it based on Quran and Hadith and or Islamic jurisprudence? For instance, Choi Gumdo Ramadan. Is that a right or wrong? Is that based on Quran? Is that based on Islamic jurisprudence? That one is but the first take the general question and then maybe a specific. I would say anything that's right or wrong is mentioned in the Quran and is reiterated by Hadith or supported by Hadith. So, for example, I don't know of a verse that specifically says, that's an example that you provided, that says you can't chew gum or you can't chew gum while you're fasting. But the Hadith briefly talks about in detail those things where, for example, the prayer, the fasting, those things are discussed in detail by the Quran. So, again, that would be the source. And in those situations where there are a difference of opinion as to what was said, or as to whether or not a hadith is narrated, those things, you definitely want to refer them to your own scholarship and the scholarship of Islamic scholars. They differ amongst themselves, so I think it's important to use our own intellect to help us arrive at conclusions as well. So I think we should check those conclusions with their conclusions. Is it called Istihad? Yeah. Istihad. So Istihad in Islam is reasoning, logic, to apply one's own intellect after studying the Quran, after knowing the opinions of the scholars. If there is still a debate on if something is right or wrong, one has to apply his own intellect, his own reasoning, his own thoughts. Um, that should be, some way supported by the Quran and the Hadith. How do you score a touchdown in a basketball game? That seems pretty odd because there are no touchdowns in basketball. So if we wanted to convey the idea of a touchdown in basketball, we would have to actually identify the underlying message that we are trying to convey, which is scoring points. So you can score points both in a basketball game and both in a football game in different ways, but there is both the ability to score points. So as I engage the African American Muslim population here in New Orleans, I must understand the context and the underlying meaning of the context that I am trying to convey to the Muslims as it relates to evangelism. It would be a very difficult task to get Muslims to believe that Jesus is God. That is a mighty high mountain to climb. But it is possible to use the Quran to justify separating Jesus from the other prophets and being more than just a prophet. In this one Quran verse, it reads, O Mary, indeed Allah gives you good tidings of a word from Him, whose name will be the Messiah, Jesus, the Son of Mary, distinguished in this world and the hereafter, and among those brought near to Allah. So, to use this verse, one could engage a Muslim to use ijtihad in order, or reasoning in order to determine the nature of Jesus. In conclusion, African American Muslims in New Orleans um, have very intact family structure. They have a social structure of the community in which the imam is the head of the community. Truth, right and wrong, and one's deeds and the origins of man are all answered in some way or the other by referring to the Quran. The Quran is the authority in Islam on everything from understanding right and wrong to knowing what is true to knowing the origins of man, the makeup of the heavens and the earth. The Quran is the ultimate authority.